Hello, and welcome to my video. In the next couple of minutes, I want to talk about budgeting and how it's something that anyone can do. Many people believe that they can't properly budget until they have money or work a really good job, when the point of budgeting is actually to make sure that you have money. Let us look at an everyday example. In my province of Saskatchewan, the minimum wage is currently $13 an hour. If someone was working a position that paid this full time, that would be 40 hours a week multiplied by 2 weeks per pay period, which is common in most businesses. They will then be left with $1,040 as a gross income. This is before any taxes. The taxes in Saskatchewan is 10.5% for someone working minimum wage full time. We can then find out how much money is taken off of taxes by multiplying the 10.5% by our gross income. When we do that, we are left with $109.20. This is how much money is taken off of the paycheck every single time the person gets paid. When we subtract this number, when we subtract the income tax number with the gross income, we'll get our net income, which is the remaining balance after the income tax. We are then left with $930.80. We're going to then double this amount because we were wanting to find out our monthly expenses and then subtract those from our monthly income. The reason I decided to do monthly is because that is the most common form of big expenses that occur, and it is just the norm. So we're going to do it that way. Of course, if somebody was to have big expenses that occur on a bi-weekly basis, then you could just do the pay period by a one-time pay period instead of a two. So when we multiply this pay period by 2, we get the monthly income, which is equal to 1,861.60. Well, 18, not 16. Let's do 18 instead. $18.61.60. This then brings us to the cost of living. Most people's expenses a month vary from person to person, but I'll try to draw up an accurate guesstimation. If our hypothetical person owns their own house, then the mortgage they'll be paying will be less than if they're on a renting basis. This is just the nature of mortgages and renting. But because most people watching this are renting, we'll use this in our example. Monthly rent in my area is approximately $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month with utilities, but this number can increase and decrease depending on where you are renting from and what your utility cost looks like in that region. But someone working minimum wage and renting their own place most likely doesn't lease a car, since it's almost impossible to do financially. So here we're going to assume that they either own their own car, walk to and from places such as work, or use public transportation in some way. Regardless of how they are transported, the cost we're going to give them, the approximate cost, will be $150 to $300 per month. And again, that number can vary a lot depending on if they own their own vehicle and how far they have to drive to work and stuff like that. But we are going to use this number as the basis of things like fuel, if they own their own vehicle, as well as things like insurance. We also all own our own cell phones. And depending on our plans and what our cell phones look like, this can be anywhere from $40 a month to $80 a month. Now we're going to grab all of these expenses and we're going to subtract them from our net income, which is $1,800. And when we do that, so when we subtract all of these, we'll just put cell phone here so you guys know what this expense is for. When we subtract all of these from our net income of $1,861.60, we are then left with $481. $481.60. We obviously need to eat food, and so we're going to use at least 400. We're going to use $400 for this exercise for food. So we're going to subtract then $400 for food. With $400 a month for food, that equals $100 a week for our nutrition. This, for some people, will be a lot of money. For others, it will not be enough, but it is a reasonable amount to be used. Obviously, your food that you will be consuming will not be super glamorous, but it is definitely doable. When we subtract the $400 from our $481.60, we are then left with $81.60. That is how much money we have after everything, after all of our expenses. Most people doing this budget would use this remaining money from some sort of entertainment or item that isn't really essential, when in reality it is smarter to put this money into some sort of savings account. And if you put this $81.60 into a savings account, and we multiply that on a yearly basis, so per month times 12 months, we are able to save $979.20 per year. Now, this doesn't seem $81 as you can $81.60 obviously doesn't seem like a lot, but as you can see, when we put that money on a consistent monthly basis, we get shy of just $1,000 in just savings after all of our expenses. Now, like I said, this is a super basic way we can tell budgeting and see how much money that we have and how much we're spending on certain items. But it is definitely important to budget and to put our money in the right places and to keep track of what we're spending. A common misconception among people is that they believe when they have financial problems that always arise, like losing a job or car expenses, that is the time that they will start budgeting. It is obviously true that when certain things come up, that it is important to revisit our budget, but it is also equally important to put money away so that when those problems do arise, you will have something to fall back on, and you'll never regret putting away money for savings. Nobody ever regrets putting X amount of money away for savings because that's just not the reality of life. No matter if you're working a minimum wage job or a six-figure one, it's important to keep track of what money is going in and out of our accounts. I encourage each person who's watching this video to do the math similar to what we did, but you will be able to do it much more personal to you and much more accurate as well, simply because you will have the actual numbers on what you're spending on certain things. And I encourage each person to keep budgeting or start budgeting if you haven't done so already. And also keep in mind that how much money you're spending on average on certain things doesn't mean that that has to be the number. You can decrease that number. In the example that we just ran through, we have things like transportations. If you are close by to work or close by to certain food services like grocery stores and stuff like that, then it's better to walk instead of driving, which will decrease our transportation costs on a monthly basis. Similarly, with cell phones, cell phone bills can be very costly, but we can bring them down if we stop adding things like data. That brings down our cell phone bill a lot. And then what happens is we're able to add more money to our savings account, which will then give us an opportunity to eventually buy things that we wouldn't have been able to buy otherwise, like some big ticket item like a car or possibly a house or some vacation or anything like that. But that money is also there for us when we need it in any cause of emergency or anything like that. And like I said, it's important to just keep budgeting and keep doing this work and being consistent with it as well, because then that will just be able to keep you ahead of the game, especially in the ups and downs of life. Thank you for watching. I hope this video has helped you and see how it is possible to save and save money properly. And I just hope that this has been an educational process for you. If you haven't already, started budgeting, like I said, I definitely recommend you start doing so, and definitely do more research on your own time to see the best ways to start cutting down on things. And then in doing so, you'll be able to put more money away than you would otherwise. Have a good one.